Greetings, salutations, respect, and love. I am Scott, and you, my little knucklehead. Oh, yeah, you've wandered onto the Prog Corner, the #2 prog rock channel on all of YouTube, and I feel really bad saying that because apparently I'm ranked ahead of the Prog Report. That doesn't seem right, Kyle. That doesn't seem right.
Don't look at me. I don't know. Yeah, who knows?
Okay, my guest today is none other than the great Kyle. How do you pronounce your last name, Kyle?
Man, Fagala, believe it or not. Just
Really?
Go for it. Yeah, really.
I think I was calling you Fagala. But,
only 3 times in my life has anyone pronounced it correctly.
No
Many
way.
graduations never pronounced correctly. So, yeah, but today can be the 4th time. Fagala.
There you go. There you go. Well, I'm in the same boat. My last name is a 4-letter word, and it's like the hardest word in the world for people to pronounce. I don't understand. It's like, don't you understand? It's Lade. It's not lady. It's not Lade. It's not Char. Like, remember Sade?
Oh, yeah.
Remember
Sade.
when she came out? For like the next 3 years, I was Scott Larday. Come on, man. It's not that complicated. But anyway, you know him. You love him. It's Kyle Fagala from the Prog Report. But more importantly today, we're going to be talking about underrated prog musicians. And I think we might be able to put the Four Cats and Echoverse in that category, Kyle.
Yeah,
Brand new album.
So.
Brand new album. This is right. Your second album?
Yeah, second album. Underrated and maybe even just completely unknown. Let's be honest, unsigned. There's a lot of unwords, but this is unreleased as of right now. It comes out March 27th. Second album. If you like anything that like Neil Morse does, a little bit of Rush influence, some Dream Theater maybe. This one's a little heavier, a little bit more towards the metal side at times. That's what we're doing. So
now we were going to do this a couple days ago, but things were happening in my life, and we had to actually postpone it. And I'm glad that we did, because it gave me a chance to listen to this record a couple more times, get, because it wasn't exactly what I was expecting. I was expecting like a total like Neil Morse-a-thon, right?
No.
And I'm hearing more Rush than Neil Morse. Actually, it's a really cool record. Tell me about the making of this, and who's in the band, and your affiliation with the band, because you're probably the only band in the world with 2 Kyles.
The only band with 2 Kyles. That was important to us. No, I was actually the last addition to the band. It was a band called Asher that had released an album a few years back. It had a little bit of subbing out of members, looked for a drummer. I think they programmed the drums on the first album, and I tried out, got the gig. I didn't know the 2 other guys, and funny thing, I've not actually met Doug and Rob. Doug is sort of the band leader, plays keys, bass, guitar, whatever, utility man kind of guy. Rob Perez plays the guitars, and then Kyle KG Graves, who's also on the Prog Report from time to time, who I've known for a long, long time. He sings and writes the lyrics. And so I got joined into that band. We made an album, Whispers Between Worlds, which came out about 1.5 years ago. Went straight into working on this guy. The last album had a 31-minute epic on it. So we decided with this one, maybe nothing over 10 minutes. We'll keep it a little bit more straightforward. Can it fit on one vinyl? Kind of approached it in a little bit more of a classical way in that sense. And I'm thrilled with how it turned out. I mean, it's a remote project, never played live. I hope one day we get that opportunity. It'll probably have to be like at a festival or a cruise or Morse Fest or something like that. But I think we're writing some killer songs, man. It's if you like, you alluded to it. If you like Rush, kind of more straight ahead, it blurs the line between rock and prog. I think you'll love it. So
yeah, it's definitely got a straight ahead rock feel to it at times, but the vocals are really good on this album.
Thanks, man. Appreciate that. That's the other Kyle.
Yeah,
but
Yeah. Oh, I know. I'm not praising. I haven't gotten to the drummer yet. I haven't talked about that drummer yet.
Drummers don't need any praise. Hey, now those are the underrated musicians right there, the drummers.
That's right.
What we do is, oftentimes just not even given any credit. So, but
we're talking about prog rock here, and it's funny how we look at music a little bit differently. And I think it's because most prog fans are either musicians, failed musicians, or they've got a little different relationship with music than the average fan, right? And I run across that all the time. I know a Mixolydian scale, so I know my music more than you. And that's not really the case, right? Prog fans get a little weird about gatekeeping, and You could even argue that this may be not a pure prog album. This has so much straight rock in it. But again, at the end of the day, who cares? Is it a solid record? Is it something that I'd want to listen to again? And when we had to reschedule, I was actually glad because it made me listen to the album a couple more times.
Sweet.
That's not always the case. Sometimes I'm like, oh man, I know I promised.
Man, I hear you.
Oh yeah, you know how
you get sent more music than I do, I'm sure. But I'll get sent some music, and sometimes it's just not what I'm into. I think we would both agree the greater portion of music fans don't listen to a lot of new music, and that's a problem. It's definitely a problem in the prog space. We've got people still listening to things from 1973 and nothing else.
And I get it. We hear those people all the time. I don't listen to anything made after 1979 or, whatever date they, insert date here. And that's just absolutely ridiculous because you probably didn't stop watching movies.
No, yeah.
Or I don't watch any TV shows that came out after 79. Come on, that's ridiculous.
Yeah, music is an interesting medium. It's like it stopped for certain people at a certain point. It's really tied to a certain age for a lot of people too. It's like, what were they listening to as teenagers, early 20s, and that's about it. Now, I'm weird about movie. I've been watching movies from the year of 1950 recently, just kind of going deep dive into like that era. Nice. Good film noir stuff. But yeah.
Now, the subject of this show today is underrated prog musicians, but I feel like we need to dive in a little deeper on Echoverse before we pivot because I'm really, really bad about doing two things at once. I could never be a juggler, that's for sure. Now, tell me about the first single off this album. It is the lead-off track, right? Radical Rebirth. There's a video for it. We're going to watch it here in a second, but set me up. Tell our people about this song.
Yeah, man. Radical Rebirth. This is the one we've gotten accused of it sounding like Van Halen to start. Also, my good friend Prog Nick said it was the sleaziest riff he's heard in a while. So I think that just says it right there. But, when a riff comes through as a drummer, it evokes certain connections. And for me, it immediately was like, oh, I hear Van Halen. So I went straight to the Octobans, nice. Which, Octobans famously, like Alex Van Halen would have played. Stuart Copeland would have played. And then, of course, like Mike Portnoy and something like that. So that's what I went straight to. In terms of doing the video, again, we're a remote band. So, like, what do you do for a music video? You can't get together. And so we had this idea of, in keeping with this idea of radical rebirth or of rebirth, which, we are a Christian band, so there's this idea of rebirth in that sense, sort of spiritually. But can we have the video start really zoomed in, almost a little bit dark, the middle of video zoom out a little bit more, and then by the end, as brightness comes in, as you're reborn, can it zoom out? And so that's kind of the idea visually as the video goes. And just, us guys in our rooms recording ourselves playing the instruments and that sort of thing. My 14-year-old Charlie helping me film like a close-up of my foot on a hi-hat or something like that, So, and then Christian Rios, who's really, really talented video
Christian.
editor. Yeah, he does all the backdrops for Neil Morris at Morris Fest and his concerts, and has done music videos for all kinds of people. He was kind enough to do this. I always have to really twist his arm, though. He works for the state of Florida now, actually doing videos for them.
Oh wow!
So he's moved on up, so it's hard to get him to do music videos.
Yeah, he's a busy guy. It's funny when he started, and just watching him work his way up, and that's the thing about the prog community is we recognize and we appreciate talent. And we reward it, right? I mean, we absolutely do. We're not this huge community where it takes a long time. If you've got something to offer, we can actually get you on the Prog Corner, on the Prog Report, talking about it. And the community is so small that we can actually make a dent. Now, before we get going on this, I get out. My viewers are about 50-50. They know where I stand on the whole theological, debate of our time. They know I'm a Christian. They don't hold it against me. But, they're funny. They don't want too much preachiness, right? They're always quick to say, I like Neil Morris, but, and it's like, there's no but, right? I like Venom. I don't care that they're Satanists. I like their music. I'm not going to hold it against them. I like what I like. Same thing with Neil Morris. Same thing with Echoverse. And the messages here really are not super overt. It's not like, some secular person's going to listen to Echo Verse and go screaming, oh my goodness, I can't take it anymore. Very subtle. And I appreciate that, because a lot of people don't want that. You're not a CCM band, are you? I mean, you wouldn't call yourself a CCM band, so you don't want it too overt.
No. Although I like CCM, and I also like music about dragons and fantastic.
Yeah.
Like to me, I think the big thing is, and I'm a fan of like contemporary art and fine art and cinema, and like I like it all. I like it when artists are creating something that's reflective of how they think about the world. To me, that's what you want. And so I would not want an agnostic or an atheist to write songs about Jesus Christ, unless it was like a unique, hey, there we go. Unless it was like representative of their unique, approach to that topic, I guess. But so I think it gets a little tiresome. I think people are really, really, really ugly about Neil, and I don't understand it, because he seems like a heck of a guy every time I've ever been around him. But hey, if you don't like it, don't listen to it. I don't think you got to, put it in the dirt.
Well, speaking of Andy Tillis again, I was actually talking to him about doing him and Neil doing an album, the Sinner and the Saint.
Yeah, it'd be sweet. And Neil would probably do it.
He probably would. We need to make that happen. So anyway, we got this thing set up. The song is called Radical Rebirth. It's the lead-off track off the second Echo Verse album, which is entitled Fall Towards the Sky. Cool album cover, by the way.
Thanks, man. I designed that.
That's you, right? You did
that's me. Yeah.
Nice work. Very nice work. Anyway, let's see if I can figure this thing out, and we'll share this. I have no idea what I'm doing.
Is he falling? Is he not falling? That's the question,
I've been doing this for 5 years, and I still haven't figured out what I'm doing. Anyway, here it is. This is Radical Rebirth.
This is the sleazy riff right here.
I love it. Love that Hammond in the background.
Cities in the clouds, but we're only focused up here and now. One day, all will be made known. No more death and no disease, no more hardwired misery. All the promised seeds will be sown. A new heaven, a new earth, no more deception, break the curse. A new heaven, a new earth, we'll come together, it's radical rebirth. Nothing in this world is as it seems. Seek the light now and you'll be redeemed. Clarity of sight is what's in store.
I want to shave his soul patch so bad.
We live in shadows in some things to come. Seventh angel is sounding.
It's his trademark, man.
The sky is clear, we raise for
I can't grow facial hair, so what can I say, you know?
a new heaven, a new earth. No more deception, break the curse. A new heaven, a new earth. We'll come together, it's radical rebirth. crushing gravity. Never alone, now your burdens can be free. Sleepwalking into oblivion. Will you ever seek the only one now?
Gotta love a Rickenbacker. Gotta, you just have to.
Absolutely. The sweetest sound on earth. Whoa, hey, there he goes.
Crystallized cities in the clouds forever. Home right here, right now. This day, all has been made known. There's no death, there's no disease. Sadness is over, memory. It is finished, over, now it's done. A new heaven, a new world. No more deception, break the curse. A new heaven, a new world. We'll come together and try and come rebirth. A new heaven, a new world. No more deception, break that curse. A new heaven, a new world. We'll come together and try and come
Oh, that was
Pretty cool.
awesome. That was awesome. Good track.
Thanks,
Good
man.
track.
Thanks, man. It's the only time
it
I've
is,
ever sat and reacted to my own music video.
Isn't
This
that awesome?
first and potentially last. This was such a weird experience, but yeah, it's cool.
I put Jonas Lindberg on the spot a couple months ago. I told
Man,
him,
he's a
hey,
talented guy.
you come on the show and we're going to do something different. I'm going to have you on the Sunday show live and I'm going to do an album review while you just sit there and listen to it. It was awesome. Oh man, he had to correct me on a couple things. Actually, that's the other guy singing there. It was good. That way, you know, I could make sure all the information was accurate in real time. So I wanted to do that again. That was fun.
Now that is an underrated prog musician, Jonas Lindberg.
Absolutely. And you know, I understand what's going on with Inside Out Music. I understand that Thomas Weber can't have, you know, all the retro prog in the world on the roster. I understand the world is changing, but you know, Jonas Lindberg, The Tangent, Spock's Beard, Pattern Seeking Animals. There's a pattern there. I'm not so sure I'm loving, but they did sign Big Train, so you know they're still in the prog game.
Yeah, they haven't signed Echoverse, so they can't win them all, you know.
Yeah, exactly. Well,
I got to meet Thomas actually, so that was kind of an interesting thing. I mean,
Really?
you know how much he's responsible for in this space over 30 years or however long. So it's pretty cool. So
yeah, so we're talking about Echoverse, and we're talking about underrated prog musicians. You brought up Jonas Lindberg. Excellent call. I'm going to throw another one at you. And this is one that it's Roberto Vitelli. He's the keyboard player, bass player, the mastermind behind Italian band Ellesmere. They just brought in a full-time lead singer, John Wilkinson, who'd been working with the Samurai of Prague. And he brings in, Thomas Bowden and all these people. Hey, hi, Kyle. How you doing?
Hey, hold on a second.
Ellesmere, man. Ellesmere from Italy. Just absolutely amazing. Their last album was great. The one before that was great. They've got 3 albums out, and I love them all. If you like Italian prog, but you like it, with English vocals with a little bit of a Genesis tinge, Ellesmere is the one for today that I'm singling out. And why wouldn't it be Italian prog? I'm an Italian prog kind of guy. I like that kind of stuff. So.
Hey, hold on a second. Sorry.
You're asking me to talk. Wow. I don't know if I can do that. Look at that paneling. Oh yeah, we're gonna do a little bit of data mining here. Okay, we're at.
You know what happened? My camera overheated. I forgot to turn my fan on.
Yeah,
it's one of those things. You were saying this earlier. Is you do podcasting for what 10 years and still mess stuff up.
Yeah,
so
yeah, it's crazy.
Man, you went super underrated. You went with a band. I'll be honest, I'm not even familiar with.
Oh yeah. Robert Vitale and his band Ellesmere, absolutely amazing. If you like Genesis. They're kind of like the new Genesis, and they use the great Rodney Matthews on the artwork. So super proggy looking, super cool. You got another one for me?
I got like 5 of them. I'll be honest. I feel like my definition of underrated is probably going to be a little different because I'm taking it, the way that I took it is like artists from bands that are huge.
Yeah.
But maybe they themselves are not as respected. Not for every one of them, but all household names. I got to start with the drummer. I got to start with the drummer of Pink Floyd, Nick Mason.
Talk to me about Nick Mason. Tell me why he's so underrated, because I 100% agree with you.
So I liken him to those names like Ringo Starr or drummers sort of like that are in just massive bands and that people disrespect. And granted, Nick Mason is not the most technical drummer. He famously actually couldn't even drum on a song that's on the final cut. They had to bring in like a studio drummer for that to play in 7. But when you think about everything that he has done and everything that he did give to that band, and I think it's as important what a drummer decides to play as what they decide to not play. And for me, that's the magic of Pink Floyd, is he was the right musician for the right band at the right time. And then, yeah, you watch something like, they just re-released the Live at Pompeii, remastered and all that kind of stuff. And even whatever you want to quibble about technical ability, like what he was bringing to that band in that moment at that time is just, on a song like Echoes or something is just unparalleled. And yeah, he added other sound effects and other things too. But of course, opening to Time, that's not an octobon, but it's a rototom. They're like, brother sister instruments, right? Just crazy talented guy, and he's still out there doing it with Saucer Full of Secrets. So kudos to Nick Mason.
Well, just because he had to have somebody help him out with one track. Neil Morris brings in guitar players. Like, is Neil Morris a terrible musician because he brings Paul Gilbert in to do a guitar solo?
No, not even in the slightest bit. It's a thing that people pick on Nick Mason for in the drum community, and just in general of those sort of Mount Rushmore prog bands, he'd be the drummer that people would pick out and would say, oh, well, he's not the best. He was in the right place at the right time, but I completely disagree. So I think he's great.
Pick a different drummer for Pink Floyd. Who would be better? Who would be better, right? I mean, there's better drummers, more technical drummers. Ain't nobody better than Nick Mason for that band. Absolutely not. He was the perfect guy for the job. And, I guess I'm going to go with my next one kind of following your lead, which is a band that's big that people talk about, but certain members don't get the credit that they're due. And when I talk about the best bass players of all time, I think about Jocko, I think about Fish, I think about Ox. But you know what? People need to throw those guys out, man, and just talk about one dude. It's Ray Shulman from Gentle Giant. Ray Shulman never got the credit he was due. Oh, my goodness. Not only did he write the majority of Gentle Giant's material, not only did he switch over to violin or acoustic guitar, but when he was just doing that bass playing, man, the stuff he came up with. I know it's like counterpoint and fugal and stuff like that, and it's supposed to be a little odd and herky-jerky, but Bach himself would not have been unhappy with the bass lines that Ray Shulman came up with in Gentle Giant. He would have been like, dude, you're one of us. And R.I.P. Ray Shulman, one of the most underrated musicians of all time.
Yeah, man. We just did an episode on the Prog Report about Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, which you've probably talked about, and it's an easy group to pick on or whatever. But Gentle Giant, I mean, goodness gracious,
they'll never get in.
No, they'll never get in, but they should. So
the list of bands that are not in that should be alone is just insane. And I know people like to pick on the Hall for their anti-prog bias, but I would counter that they have a bigger bias against metal.
No,
I mean, how many real metal bands are in the Hall? Metallica?
Very, very, very few.
Judas Priest?
Perhaps arguably the biggest oversight I mean, that's a controversial thing to say, but Iron Maiden not being in is
not
insane.
controversial. It is the number one oversight in the hall. They've sold 250 million albums, and still to this day they can fill stadiums. Yeah. Oh, come on, man. That's a joke. They need to be in there.
And they're prog adjacent too. So I take, take a little bit of a prog metal view on them, certainly some of their albums. So, hey, can I see?
I have to argue. They're
100% straight metal.
They're 100% prog, my friend. Absolutely, they are. Empire of the Clouds. Oh, that is pure prog. They're a metal band that does some proggy stuff. But they're prog. I love them.
They're in the prog family. We invite them into the prog family.
Absolutely. Anybody that is unabashedly a fan of Nectar, Genesis, and Jethro Tull and covers that music. Come on. Next up, since Kyle just froze up, he's having some tech. Oh, there you are.
I'm back.
Okay. You're back.
What's going on? Sorry, man.
Whatever.
So sorry.
It
happens,
probably
right?
On my end. It's probably me. I'm using
by the way,
a 20-year-old computer.
Kudos to you for drinking Mountain Dew. I'm a real soda drinker myself.
Yeah.
Coke and Dr. Pepper for me. Do you know what the second most popular soda in the United States is as of last weekend?
Absolutely shocking. Dr. Pepper has been climbing up the charts. I am just amazed. They have overtaken Mountain Dew. They've overtaken Pepsi. They've overtaken 7-Up. Yeah, Dr. Pepper, the number 2 soft drink in America. I was shocked to see that. Almost as shocked to realize that the number 1 female actress in the history of Hollywood is we're dead. Hey, something just really weird happened. I told you it was me because we both just went down there.
Yeah, we're back. I'm just dying to learn who the number 1 female actress of all time is.
Scarlett Johansson.
Oh, yeah. Well, in terms of box office, for sure.
I don't even get it. I think I've seen 1 movie with her in it. How is that even possible?
Not a huge Marvel fan, I guess.
Oh, it's Marvel, isn't it? Yeah. And then the other girl, Zoe
Saldana, because she's been in the Avatar
They're
films
like 1 and 2. So I guess
that's box office, though. You can't.
Well, it's like grading a band based on that album only charted up to here. They only had 1 number 1 hit song. We don't look at charts when we're talking about prog rock, so charts don't matter too much.
Hey, can I see your bassist and raise you a bassist?
Yes.
Yeah.
Please do.
All right. Again, from a band, we all know him. I think we all love him, but Dave Meros from Spock's Beard.
Yeah.
I feel like I don't hear enough people talk about how good he is, and I equate him to sort of like a modern day Chris Squire. Just melodic, massive tone. He fills the gaps that need to be filled in that band, especially on those. And I like all of Spock's Beard output, but especially on those first 4, 5, 6 albums.
Oh, yeah.
Just a massive guy, aggressive when he needs to be, but controlled when he needs to be. And he's still putting out great stuff. So shout out Dave.
Excellent call. And when the Archie Optimist came out, the lead up to it, not 1 word about Dave in any of the press. And I'm like, what? Dave's not in the band, I guess. So I had to go through. Oh no, Dave's still there. Well, how come
Dave's still there?
They didn't even mention him, but as always, holding it down. He's amazing. I'm going to go with another. I kind of like the way you're going. Big bands, everybody knows. Nobody talks about them. Whenever somebody talks about Kansas, they talk about that violin, right? But nobody talks about Robbie's voice, right? They talk about Steve Walsh, and and rightly so. That guy's vocals, oh man, among the greatest singers I've ever heard in my life. But nobody talks about Robbie's singing. Nobody. And the magic of Kansas for me was when Steve and Robbie were singing together. To me, it's like John Anderson and Chris Squire. It's that same level of I could die and go to heaven just listening to these 2 cats harmonizing together. And then you throw in Robbie's stage presence, this hulking figure on stage with the hair and stuff, man. Oh, yeah, Robbie Steinhardt, R.I.P. Yeah, am I just going to do a bunch of dead people today? No, we don't.
Well,
want
I think it is Prog. Unfortunately,
Yeah,
you're pulling from the archives, but that's
True
okay.
that.
I mean, I've got a few dead people on my list too.
Who else you got?
Well, I hate to like segue right into a dead person.
Yeah, of course.
But R.I.P. Now this is a bigger name, so some people might scoff at this. But again, to me, like underrated is all relative. This is probably my biggest example of a massive name, especially if you know Prog, that was in massive groups, but relatively talked about the least of those that he was surrounded by. So it is another bass player, John Wetton. I hope that's a good shriek.
I love John Wetton.
Of course you love John Wetton. Everyone does, but I think in a grander scale. Now, if you're a massive prog rock fan, you're like, oh, John Wetton's, he's a huge name. Oh. But King Crimson, UK, Asia, of course, he returned in a lot of those bands in different ways. But he's definitely overshadowed by Fripp and Bruford. He's overshadowed by the radio hits of Asia and so on and so forth. But a really killer bassist and vocalist, and rare, I think, in that regard. I'm putting him on this list for Starless alone because I think he would be like, the second, third, fourth person you might mention in relation to that song, and that's crazy because he sings it, he plays the bass. Anyway, he's part of all the making of all that, so... And rest in peace. I got to see him, fortunately, the kickoff for one of the cruises to the Edge. He did the opening concert, and it's just a huge hero. Maybe not underrated to you, but he's underrated to me. So
you know what I think is underrated is his influence, because people will always talk about the influence of Chris Squire on our beloved genre, and rightly so. I mean, your band, the dude plays a Rick, so it goes deep. But I counter that. I think John Wetton's playing might be every bit as influential as Chris Squire. That tone, man, that nasty tone that he got out of that bass, man. Sometimes it just sounded just wrong, right? Like, what in the world are you doing? Somebody in that control booth, was messing with those dials, because that just sounds just so wrong, but it always sounded so right. And Wetton's underrated for his bass playing, for sure.
If you like his sort of dirty, distorted, aggressive bass playing, listen to like live era King Crimson, like 73, 74, like that kind of stuff.
A great receiver box set. Oh,
yeah, he's killer.
Yeah, amazing. All right, let's see. I'm gonna go with a guitar player. We haven't talked about any 6-string slingers, and there's
because they're always overrated. Guitar player. What are you, Scott? By the way, what kind of musician are you?
I started out playing classical guitar.
Okay.
When I was 5 years old, my dad gave me a choice: guitar or piano. It's one or the other. You don't have any other option. And even at 5, I knew guitar players got the chicks. So guitar it was,
but not classical guitar players.
Yeah, I didn't pick up an electric guitar until I was 18.
Oh wow!
And I thought I was really good, right? Because I'm playing all this crazy stuff, right? My teacher studied under Andre Segovia, so I was getting really good instruction. I thought I was great, and then I picked up a guitar. I bought a SG and I bought a Marshall stack. I'm like, this should be easy, right? I've been playing my whole life. Oh, it was embarrassing. It was terrible. It was like having to relearn how to play all over again. It was terrible. But I was a music major, so I play everything. I'm one of those.
Okay. Good for you, man.
Keyboards, guitar, bass. I sing. I do a little bit of this, a little bit of that, but a little sax, a little violin. Just whatever I was hearing in the music that I was liking.
You're the prog rock prince. That's what I'm naming you right now.
There you go. I love it. I love
play everything.
Exactly. So here's my choice for an underrated guitar player. A guitar player that, nobody really talks about. And it drives me absolutely crazy. It's Martin Barre. It's Martin Barre. Come on, man. This cat, nobody ever talks about. We always talk about Hackett. We always talk about Fripp. We always talk about Steve Howe, right? David Gilmour. He's the greatest. He's amazing. He is the greatest. But I don't think we hold Martin Barre in that same kind of esteem, and we absolutely should, because I don't know. Some days I think he might be the best of all of them. I mean, his tone, his note choices. I've never heard him play a note wrong. Like, every note just seems to like make logical sense. He's very well versed in blues, but also could go off on some crazy modal stuff too. Guy just, I'm just a huge Martin Barre fan, and I don't think he gets enough credit. So yeah, he's my underrated guitar player.
You know, he also has the same facial hair that our lead singer has. So
yeah, there's that.
Maybe that facial hair is underrated. Maybe that's
it.
you know, we should put a, you know, Jethro Tull, another band that's not in the Rock Hall, and like, yeah,
And
I
should
don't.
be.
Goodness gracious, I would think they should be. So he's not on my list, but Barrymore Barlow, drummer for Jethro Tull, would make another of these lists. But I try not to make it all about drummers as a drummer, you know, because it's easy for. I mean, drummers are in the back. We're always underrated on some level, at least a lot of us. But I've got another bass player for what it's worth.
Wow.
And I feel like I could do this all day, but you'll tell us when to stop. But this is one, again, from a big band. I think he's a household name, but I feel like I hear less and less about this band. I hear less and less about this guy. But just a huge influence on me as a kid. Doug Pinnick from King's X. And yeah, he's right up in the front. Everybody knows what he looks like. Really cool hair, especially in the late 80s. But bass, lead, backing vocals. He wrote most of their lyrics, not all their lyrics, but most of their lyrics. Would play on a 12-string bass. If you've ever seen them in concert, he commands the stage. He's a real tall guy, the longest arms in prog, or rock, or whatever the heck you'd call the music he does. But that band is on my underrated bands list of all time, always and always will be. But Doug, just in general as a musician, absolutely up there. For me, the album Dogman, 1994, right in the midst of grunge. Name another like prog or prog adjacent band that made a good 1994 grunge era album. There's not too many of them. Spock's Beard made what they made in 95, but still, that's a huge band for me. So yeah, Doug Pinnick. I could name every member of King's X, but I'll go with Doug.
I like it. Well, I'm gonna do one more here, and then I want one more from you. But, we haven't done a keyboard player yet, so I'm gonna do an underrated keyboard player. And there's a lot of them out there, man. You know, we're not gonna say Jordan Rudess, right? Nobody's underrating him, but there is this band out of Japan. They're signed to Cherry Red. Cherry Red's doing absolutely nothing for them. They need to get away from them as quickly as they can. They could sign with anybody and they'd do a better job than Cherry Red's doing for this band. It's absolutely terrible. It's
sorry,
Yuka.
Cherry Red.
I don't pull any punches, man. If I see something that ain't right, I call it. And the way they're dealing with Yuka and Chronoship is an absolute crime against humanity. There is absolutely no reason in the world why a guy that's got a YouTube channel called the Prog Corner needs to contact Cherry Red and say, hey, you got a prog band on your roster. And the guy's like, who? Who? Come
Is that
on,
right?
Man. Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
They didn't even know they had signed him. And this is just so wrong. The band is Yuka and Chronoship. It's led by Yuka Funakoshi. She is an absolute master keyboard player. She writes all this really cool, flashy Emerson, Lake and Palmer type stuff, but she's got like these killer studio musicians behind her, like a shredder on guitar. So they're very modern sounding with that modern drum sound and the shredder guitar thing. So imagine like an aggressive, modern, female-led Emerson, Lake and Palmer with very minimal vocals. They do some vocals sometimes, but Yuka Funakoshi, absolutely underrated. And her band's amazing. 4 great albums that nobody's ever heard. And that is, like I said, an absolute crime that we're trying to fix today.
Okay. I dig it. I feel like my last one, it's a keyboardist, interestingly.
Good.
And it is from a massive band. And this is probably one that's not great to land on because I think people will say, oh, you're just a young kid and don't know any different. But at least as I look back on classic prog and I look at the big bands, those Mount Rushmore bands, the Genesis Yes, the King Crimson, the LP, the, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, like those bands, the most underrated keyboardist is Tony Banks. From that same era, you have Rick Wakeman, you have Keith Emerson, and then inside the band of Genesis, I feel like Tony Banks gets overshadowed rather by Peter Gabriel, by Phil Collins, by Steve Hackett, and really just by the largeness of the band. But for me, at least, and it's hard to say who I like better between Wakeman and Emerson and Tony Banks, but I actually prefer Tony Banks. I think in the same way that I prefer Phil Collins to all the drummers from that era, I also think Tony Banks is a more artful player, and he would be my pick for underrated keyboard player. Again, from a massively rated band, and you might even say, well, he can't be underrated. He's in Genesis. But for me, of those classic bands, I'm going to pick Tony Banks. So
I think there's a case to be made for that. And I think even within the small confines of the prog community, I think there are those walking among us that don't seem to understand that Tony Banks was the leader of Genesis. He always was. Everything that happened in Genesis went through Tony and a little bit of Mike, but let's be honest, it was Tony's band. Tony was the dictator. Nothing happened in that band without Tony's approval. So when people say Phil Collins ruined Genesis with all that pop stuff, that has absolutely no bearing on what actually happened. Tony dictated what that band did. And, the fact that they were all in sync at the same time kind of made three-man Genesis work, since they were all rowing in the same direction. And us prog fans can cry all we want about Abacab and We Can't Dance and Invisible Touch, but I'm sorry, those are good pop albums. They just
I was going to say, like, that maybe the more controversial statement is that Phil Collins didn't ruin the band with those pop albums. I dig those pop albums. So.
He saved the band. It's not like you're talking about Emerson, Lake and Palmer or Yes. Those bands were huge in the U.S. Those bands were selling out stadiums around the country. They didn't need any help from anybody. Genesis, on the other hand, you could go see them at like 150-seater.
Yep.
Touring The Lamb Lies Down on Broadway. Nobody cared about them. No one was listening to them. And you could make a case that if Peter Gabriel had stayed, they just would have fizzled out and been a band nobody ever heard about. Phil Collins saved that band from the scrap heap of history. Yeah.
Another artist left out of the hall. Phil Collins is a solo artist.
Yeah.
Explain that one to me. But anyway.
Pete's in, but Phil's not.
Yeah.
That's going to change.
It'll change.
It's been really not cool to like Phil Collins for a lot of years. Even outside the prog community, you can't really say you're a Phil Collins fan. But that is changing. I don't know if you noticed over the past 10 years, like 10 years ago, if you said you were an ABBA fan, you'd get a bullet in the head. Now everybody and their monkey's uncle, I'm a huge ABBA fan. ABBA's the greatest band, the best things in sliced bread. When did that happen? So maybe we'll have a similar revival for Phil.
There's been a lot of change. I totally agree with you, Phil Collins. You'll see it even from a lot of like hip hop and rap artists that love Phil Collins, that love obviously his drum sound and things like that in the drum world for sure. But even just his approach to pop gets lauded a lot more and more these days. And he was huge, biggest artist in the world in like 1985. I mean, really, arguably. So
I don't think there's any argument at all to be made there, because you look at the bigger artists of that time, the Springsteens, the Princes, and the Madonnas. They weren't able to double dip like Phil did, right? He had hits on both sides of the equation with the band and the solo stuff. So I think if you add up the number of hits, like top 10 hits in the 80s, I think Phil's probably the number one artist of the 80s.
Yeah, and maybe it's Michael Jackson, but hey, they can share. They can share the title. The fact that Phil Collins, and I don't know if you've never listened to his memoir, you got to listen to it. And I actually recommend the audiobook because he narrates it, and it's fascinating. But the fact that for Live Aid, he flew from London to the United States to do both shows, and he screwed up the Led Zeppelin gig, but still
a little bit. It wasn't terrible.
Not terrible.
People say he was awful.
No, he wasn't awful. And again, I'm a huge Phil apologist from a drummer's perspective. He was by far the best and most technically gifted of the drummers of that era, while at the same time somehow magically could sing and write lyrics and compose amazing music. But anyway,
I'm with you.
Maybe he's underrated. I'm just kidding.
I think he might be, actually.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. Underrated is a funny term because it's all relative. Underrated to whom, Yeah. So at least for us, these were underrated musicians that I think deserve more lauding, and so they've gotten some laudment.
We lauded it
from Scott Laud.
Yeah, and my audience is savvy enough to understand that it was just a cheap attempt to try to get eyeballs so that you guys would want Kyle talking about Echoverse, listening to the new track off the brand new album. Because if we just did this as Kyle from Echoverse, no one would watch this episode.
My mom would watch it, Scott. My mom would watch it. For me, it was just an excuse to finally get on the prog corner. So,
Kyle, just so that you guys know, Kyle and I have been talking for quite a while about getting him on the show.
Yeah.
So it took a minute. I'm lazy. I am.
No, not as lazy as I am. No, no. You're way more prodigious when it comes and prolific when it comes to doing this stuff. I'm way more lazy.
We got some good stuff coming up in the future. This is almost like a Sunday live stream, sitting with the guest instead of me. But, our Sunday live streams are not to be missed, boys and girls. This Sunday, don't miss it. I've got Audition Sunday. New faces on the Sunday live stream, all rookies, all newbies. They've never been on the Sunday show before. So consider it their audition as we talk about the best live albums in the history of prog. And then March 8th, looking forward to this. Been on YouTube for 5 years, and there's one band we haven't ranked the albums of yet. What? We haven't done Dream Theater yet.
Whoa.
What? So we're doing that March 8th, and then March 15th. Man, I'm excited about this. I don't know if you're hip to this act. It's Mike Nesmith from the Monkees' son, Christian, and his wife, Cersei Link. So It's Cersei Link and Christian Nesmith. They'll be on the show March 15th, and they're going to be talking about their album, Arcana. They are 100% prog. This is the proggiest album that came out in 2024. Nobody talked about it. Imagine Yes with Annie Haslam singing for them. That's what this is. It's absolutely amazing. Christian Nesmith does all the instrumentation, except our good friend Matt Brown plays a keyboard solo on one track. That's March 15th. March 22nd. Oh, boy. We've got Dan and Patrick McGowan from the T Club. And in case you guys have been living under a rock, Dan is now the bass player for Kansas. So we always find a way to talk about Kansas on the Prog Corner. Absolutely, we do. So, yeah, tune in every single Sunday at 11 o'clock. Eastern time. If you don't, you're missing out, boys and girls. Anyway, Kyle, it's been an absolute pleasure after all this time having you on the show. This is awesome. Don't forget, boys and girls, the album is called Fall Towards the Sky, and it's really a cool record, man. If you like we were saying, it's very much like if Neil Morrison Rush had a baby, it's Echoverse. I'm really, really digging it, Kyle. Thank you so much. Anyway, boys and girls, oh, yes, indeed. I love you. Oh, peace in the Middle East. We need it, Kyle. We could use some peace in that Middle East. Things are getting a little heated up, man. But you know what? It's all good. It's all good because we're going to free Tibet. We're going to free the Ukraine. We're going to free the Epstein files. We're going to free beer. We're going to free Willie. And we're going to say, God save that king. King Chucky the third. 1, 2, 3. The second one got his head chopped off. This one here, he's going to get snakes attacking him. Oh, no. What's worse? Snake bite or a guillotine? I don't know. Take your pick, but these snakes are hungry, Kyle. Oh, yeah. Jeez. Oh, the armor of God got me. Those snakes can't get me. Absolutely. Kyle, I love you. I'll see you guys soon.
Likewise.
Peace in the Middle East.